Okay, so since tomorrow is New Year's Eve, I've decided that I'm going to do my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2013 tomorrow. But today I decided that I'm going to revisit my 2011 list of my 10 most anticipated films of 2012. So a list I made a little over almost a year ago, and see how these films held up. And it took me a minute to find it. You know, it was hard to find, but I did find it. And looking at the list, it's kind of funny because a lot of the movies still haven't come out yet. But let's start off with number 10. My 10th most anticipated movie of 2012 was actually The 5-Year Engagement. The one with Emily Blunt and Jason Segel, if you don't know. Excuse me. The reason I was anticipating this movie so much was just the same reason I think everyone was, is because it's from everyone who did Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and I love Forgetting Sarah Marshall. It's one of my favorite romantic comedies, and I think if you remember, if you've seen my This Is 40 review, I said that Jason Segel is one of my favorite comedic actors today, and because of that, I was anticipating this movie so much. And I'll be honest, when I first walked out of what's it called, 5-Year Engagement, I was a little underwhelmed. I think it was because it was a little too long. It was just, it wasn't that great, but I think a lot of it had to do with the ridiculously high expectations I had for it, because the trailer was great, and obviously I had it in my top 10 most anticipated movies. And the other reason is because it was really long. I mean, there was like a solid like 25-minute stretch where it was just like boring almost. If you've seen the movie, you probably know what I'm talking about. But I rewatched it recently, and I got a better grasp of it, and I really enjoyed that movie. And I think I was a little bit off by, I don't know why I put it in my top 10, because I think now I save that more for movies that if I were to die tomorrow, 10 movies I'd want to see. I don't think that would have been on it. I think I was just more the trailer probably just come out, and I needed a movie, so I threw it in there. But then it goes right to my ninth movie, Jeff Who Lives at Home, which again is another Jason Segel movie. And I think this one was a little bit different because it was from the guys who did Cyrus, the Duplass brothers, and that one got tremendous reviews, and so this one I think premiered at TIFF, and it got tremendous reviews. So I actually felt like this could be a movie that might be in my top 10 of 2012 in the long run. And for a while there, it was in my top 10. Jeff Who Lives at Home. It's not anymore. But I really did love Jeff Who Lives at Home when I first seen it. Second rewatch bogged it down a bit. It made me just more so appreciate the ending of the film. But it opened a new eye for me. That movie opened a mumblecore. I started watching a lot. I watched all the Duplass brothers films, and then I actually started watching a lot more and appreciate mumblecore films more. And that's all because of Jeff Who Lives at Home. So I think I was totally in the right by having that in my top 10 list. Number 8, ironically, is Gangster Squad, which I've yet to see. And the reason is obviously because of that shooting in Aurora. So they had to reshoot a scene, and then it got a January release. But the reason why is the cast. And watching the trailer, I still anticipate the movie. But before the trailer came out, I don't think anyone really had a good feel on what that movie was going to be about. I think everyone thought it was going to be like LA Confidential type noir, pulpy, but it really does have that, I don't know, that's from the guy who did Zombieland, so you can actually tell it's kind of more of a badass action movie rather than a deep, thought-provoking film. But I still am anticipating it. I don't think if I were to do a list now for 2013 movies, it definitely wouldn't be in it, because the trailer does look like it's going to be a fun film, but I can't expect too much out of it. Though I do love Ryan Gosling, and I think the cast is tremendous. But after seeing the trailer, I think Uh, I think that it was a bit under it was a bit underwhelming and not what I expected it to be. So I wouldn't, and I think I was wrong in anticipating it that much. The next one is World War Z. Again, another film that has yet to come out, but I think the Brad Pitt's great, and it's a zombie movie, man. And zombie movies are always fun. I've very little, like, seldomly seen a really shitty zombie movie. I love all the ones I've seen, actually, thinking about it. Zombieland and Dawn of the Dead, 28 Days, Weeks, if you want to consider those zombie movies. The list goes on, and hopefully Brad Pitt, he really is selective nowadays with his films that he does, as he's gotten older. So I think this one could be a great movie. It's not going to be in my 2013 list, but I'm still anticipating that movie a lot. I actually kind of feel the same way with that as I do with Gangster Squad. It's I didn't watch the trailer, but from what I've heard of the trailer, it's just kind of going to be good fun, and and yeah. So I guess maybe I was a little bit in the wrong for having Zombieland so high too, or World War Z so high too. The next one is Kogan's Trade with Brad Pitt, which actually later got a rename of Killing Them Softly. Not to spoil my list, but Killing Them Softly is one of my favorite films of 2012. 2012. So of course I think I was in the right for having that movie there. And I think it's a tremendous film. A lot of people hate it, but I think it's a critically acclaimed film. So I think a lot of you should see the reasoning why I love it. But I am glad that it was above World War Z, because it would make me feel weird now thinking what's going to be a better a zombie movie with Brad Pitt or a badass action movie, or like a badass heist film, if you want to call it. I don't even know what to call that movie. It's like a pulpy American thriller art house badass conversation film. I don't know how to categorize that. Number 5, which should be number 5, A Place Behind the Pines. Ryan Gosling is my favorite working actor right now. He is without a doubt my favorite. I fucking love Blue Valentine. It was probably my number 2 movie of that year. A 10 out of 10 in my eyes. Perfect film. And it's those two meeting together. And at the time, I was a little, I was like, okay, this movie's probably going to be good, but they can't top Blue Valentine. Well, it premiered. Fucking tremendous reviews out of TIFF. It's getting the masterpiece from the playlist, and they're the ones I trust the most. A lot of it's 9s, 10s, 8.5s reviews, A's, and amazing 5 stars. This movie's going to be in one of my most anticipated, if not my most anticipated, of 2013. I cannot wait. The trailer came online and it was just like, oh, I want to watch it so bad. But it's only March, so we're only a few months away, and I can hold off. Number 4 was Only God Forgives, another Ryan Gosling film. But this one, it's his reteaming with... Someone's here. Okay, guys, sorry about that. Someone came into my house and I had to pause it and resume. But I do remember I was talking about Only God Forgives being my, I want to say it was 4th most anticipated movie of this year. But it still holds true. I really anticipate it. I don't anticipate it, I think because I don't anticipate it as much as The Place Behind the Pines now, because after Me Loving Drive so much, it's going to have this ridiculously high expectations, and if I go in there expecting Drive Part 2, I might not get that and be underwhelmed by it and kind of be disappointed. And that is the case with one of these films on this list, and I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, Only God Forgives is definitely going to be on my list of 2013 films I'm anticipating. I think I'm going to do 13 movies for 2013. That makes sense. Okay, number 3 was Django Unchained. I don't even need to explain why this movie was so highly anticipated. Obviously, it's Tarantino's newest film. The cast was amazing. At the time, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Kurt Russell, probably a couple other guys were in it, and they ended up leaving. But regardless, the cast was still great. And I mean, it was a little bit better then, but you can't like take anything away from the cast that it is now. And it's definitely in one of my favorite films of this year. And I don't, I see no wrong in having it exactly where it was. Number two, this one was because of there was like a brief screening of this film, or just not even of the film, just of scenes in this film. And they were just talking about how fucking amazing it was, and because of that, it stuck in the back of my mind when I was making this list. And I said, "Fuck it, it's my second most anticipated movie, behind probably the most anticipated movie of the past 10 years." But number two is Looper, directed by Rian Johnson and with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis. And I'll be honest, when I first seen the trailer for it, I was like a bit disappointed, because it looked just like an action movie and not a thought-provoking science fiction film that I'd hoped for, a science fiction drama. And when I walked out of Looper, I had to see it twice, because the first time I seen it on like an hour and a half of sleep and fall asleep for like 25 minutes, so I had to go re-see it. But when I seen it the second time, I was ready to hail it as one of my absolute favorite films of the year. Again, I don't want to keep getting into my top 10 list, but I'm sure it is somewhere in there. But I love Looper, and I was on a hunch. No top anticipated film lists had Looper in it. So I was kind of one of the only guys out there that did that I seen, and I don't regret it at all. I loved Looper. And number one, I'm sure this was everyone's most anticipated, was The Dark Knight Rises. I have no reason why I need to say why I anticipated it. I mean, it was the sequel, the threequel to one of the greatest franchises of all time, and it's following one of the greatest, if not, it's the greatest superhero movie of all time. And there's nothing you can... I have no clue why anyone wouldn't have that movie in their top 10 most anticipated for this year, unless they truly hate Nolan or hate the Batman franchise. But those people are just usually wrong, and they like to do that kind of shit just to piss people off. But absolutely, the first time I seen The Dark Knight Rises, I was a bit underwhelmed by it. I think when you anticipate movies so much and go in with such high expectations, expecting a 10 out of 10, and you don't get that, you don't get a perfect film, you are a bit taken back by it. And that's how The Dark Knight was. I didn't hate the movie, but I didn't love it neither. And a second viewing really changed my opinions of it. I seen things a little bit differently, because I went in with different expectations. I went in to just enjoy it, and I actually ended up walking out loving the movie the second time through. But yeah, The Dark Knight Rises, you can't, I don't regret having it number one. I think that was everyone's most anticipated. Surely my number one film isn't even on this list, and most of my top 10's not actually on this list, and a lot of them I didn't actually anticipate at all. So that's, I think, a big reason why I love them so much. And but I can say this: if I were to redo this list today, I would have had the Avengers on it. I was a bit, it could be cool. It could be fun. It could be great, which it ended up being. But I think what I wanted out of the Avengers was a fun film and a joyful movie, and that's what I got. But I didn't expect a great movie, and it did what it was supposed to do great. And I would have the Avengers, and then I'd have a couple other movies. Now, I'd have them, but then I didn't even know they were going to be made. So, again, I don't think a guy would anticipate a movie like Magic Mike and put it on his top 10 list, because it's, from the look of it, it is a movie about male strippers. But when you actually see the movie, it's still about male strippers, but it's not for females, even though that's the target audience. And I actually just let my brother's wife borrow it, and I got a little bit of shit for having that movie. But I wouldn't anticipate something like that, at this time last year, because you don't know what it's about. But regardless, check out my page tomorrow. I'm gonna have I think I'm gonna do 13 most anticipated films of 2013. Just a little play there. But I still have to think of some movies. I only know a few off the top of my head that I'm anticipating. But yeah, check out my list tomorrow. Leave a comment. Post your 10 movies that you were super anticipating last year and how they held up. Or post your number one movie or something. Give me a sub. Send this video to other people. Try to get me some more followers if you can. Sorry for running it so long. It's probably going to be about 18 minutes. So I apologize for that. But hopefully you watched the whole video. Thank you. Check out my other videos.